scene here in Toronto as the Raptors playing in front of this empty building, and Gary Trent Jr. knocks it down. Calling out the play to OG Anunoby, and the rest of the Raptors send it now to Siakam. Here's Gary Trent Jr. The three is good. That championship 2019. Gary Trent Jr. the corner three doesn't go and knocked out of bounds. It's going to be Clipper ball. Birch out and bring in Achua.
That's exactly on that first sub. Familiar faces checking into the game.
Bledsoe shot doesn't go. Gary Trent Jr. Then they get to 17 and 17, and then of course, as we know, COVID hit the Toronto Raptors. Gary Trent Jr. and they had that stretch in the right direction.
Yeah, because you certainly see a lot of pieces, right? A lot of really good pieces that can contribute.
Pascal now over to Gary Trent Jr. 2:45 remaining here in the first half. It's an 8-0 run. Gary Trent puts an end to it. Down by one. Morris doubled, loses it, and a foul. Finds Gary Trent Jr. Close out by Jackson. Gary Trent shot no, and the rebound for Mann. It's a brief three-game trip for the Clippers at Boston, at Toronto, at Brooklyn, and then back home. Raptors down by 6 here at the start of the third. Reggie Jackson, corner three. Rare miss for him. Trent Jr. now. Trent Jr. using the Birch screen, gets a switch, takes Morris out to the foul line, and the jumper doesn't go. Clears it, Gary Trent Jr. Clippers get back. Nice little hesitation move, tough angle, and Ibaka's going to come away with it. Gary Trent Jr. A three doesn't go. You think about Danny Green in that ring, the ever elusive ring that he got his Laker ring before. Pascal with 23. Here's Gary Trent Jr. catch and shoot, doesn't go, and